Hello, my name is Joshua Gallagher, and this is my Global Society, Globalization, and How It Affects Real Estate project. The topic I chose for this project relating to the issues of global connectiveness that have been influential on many aspects of our global society is the profession that I'm currently in, which is construction. The global pertinence lies in the economic reverberations around the world on a macro level. As seen on 9/11, terrorism has a huge effect on the US and the world economy. There are a few other instances where the real estate market is being affected, and that has to do with Airbnb and its influence on the construction industry as a whole. While this topic is generally broad, I want to focus in on how interdisciplinary thought processes influence the construction world and the real estate world. To review, the word interdisciplinary means or is best described as the collaboration of two cultures or a teaching and a method or a set of methods influencing disciplines and colloquialisms. This will outline and analyze all of the individual influences of the interdisciplinary thought processes on real estate and construction. Next, this presentation will integrate interdisciplinary approaches for determining the effective vehicle that influences elements of global connectiveness, therewithin influencing the state of national identity. There are many benefits and challenges with global community when dealing with interdisciplinary thought processes and implementing them into various cultures. Although there are many positive influences of diverse interdisciplinary processes, there is no surefire, well-tailored, or unaffected influence on the global society as a whole. There's going to be pluses and minuses to everything that we deal with. There are many different angles and viewpoints that address diverse individuals, communities, and organizations impacting each environment, but also affecting the global scale and also affecting communication skills. Finally, it is important to have a macro vision, a global connectiveness, and how it is affecting both positive and negative our environments while looking through the lens of interdisciplinary thought processes. Throughout this presentation, there is not only research data, but also real-life experiences, which is far more valuable when relating to this topic of how different cultures and environments are influencing not only our real estate, construction trades, but the economic and on a macro level of what is being affected. Utilizing interdisciplinary approaches and looking at the global connectivity at large, you'll notice a global impact with the collective political influence to make travel more accessible, allowing the indirect effect of the real estate markets for not only the US, but other countries. This affects Iran's political temperature is in a part due to the fact how pedestrian knowledge is because of the internet, and more specifically, vehicles or avenues such as Facebook and other social media impacts these environments in Iran. To sum up, the key components we'll be addressing that are of economic value that affect real estate and indirectly the construction industry would be the political environment, which would be on the next slide, and then also how Airbnb affects travel and real estate, and also in the end, how social media is affecting our political temperature and also influencing the real estate and construction trades. There are some key components that have to deal with the political environments that we deal with that affect real estate and construction. This economic temperature of the world through the lens of globalization indirectly affects the profitability of construction and in the real estate market. Globalization and the influence of social media such as Airbnb and Uber have made the world more pedestrian. Through consequences of the global temperature, there are also influences of cultural politics for the investment in America, while the unpredictability and lack of control is affecting places like Cuba and China, different situations, but the same idea of influence. We can see in these graphs there is an official estimate of loss to the economy through instances of war, such as 9/11, and how has it affected our country and the global economic scale. Also, you can see China's growth as well and how it has fluctuated throughout the years. While there is a rise and fall that is inevitable, there is consistency in how this ebbs and flows with and in response to what's going on in the world as a whole. The presidency that we currently have is a tail sign of how presidencies can influence the economic culture in positive and negative ways, not only in the US soil, but also around the world. Regardless of where one stands politically, the presidency has a solid impact on what is happening in the world, especially the United States. The United States is looked at as the forefront of the world economically and sets the pace for other cultures and countries to follow suit or to reject, period. Moving on, we will see that globalization effects of Airbnb. As this graph shows to your upper right-hand corner, it shows Airbnb's revenue growth that is outpacing any other booking site. Airbnb is taking over the traditional hotel experience as we see in the graph. First-time home buyers are more approachable with this extra income. Vacation homes are increasingly being affected by this globalization and Airbnb through this social mechanism. Traveling has become a lot easier with less unknowns, and the experience is far more in depth. Just looking back historically, if you were to go somewhere in the 1970s, you would have to book a hotel either by calling or sending a letter and a check. Whereas now there is such a vivid idea of where you are going, and also through smartphones and social media, we know exactly what to expect, taking away some of the thrill of travel, but also adding to more safer environments. Airbnb is an intelligent concept that is affecting the rental market. For example, I work personally for construction doing homes on Cape Cod. 80% of the homes that we build are on Airbnb, and people are subsidizing the cost through Airbnb in order to afford their vacation home. While this whole concept of socially based hotel bookings called Airbnb, their negative aspects lie in how it is affecting construction and real estate in a micro level For example, the areas surrounding that do not have hotels now and the shrinking network of hotels because of the overtaking of Airbnb. There are many benefits and challenges with Airbnb that have to do with social and global issues that target the population of people around the world and then isolated instances such as Cape Cod and maybe even other vacation locations such as Puerto Rico and Cuba. As a whole, this makes a cognate connection between the chosen issue of how construction and real estate is being affected. Next up is the political movement and globalization. These images resemble heavy movement that is happening politically in various parts of the world, which have to do with real estate and construction. Because of social media outlets such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the Iranian culture is becoming more subject to democracy and how it positively affects the world. While this is a large topic to begin with and could solely be focused around this, these reverberations or ripples of what's happening around the world are affecting not only their real estate, but also their travel, which affects real estate and construction as a whole. Social media plays a huge role in the movements of what's going on in Cuba and in Iran. Iranian women are revolting against the government and throwing their scarves in the air and twirling them around as a sign of revolting against the political views of that country. Looking historically back at our history, we can see how thought processes have changed. It is important to vet the information that we have so it does not negatively impact our environment without a substantial base. It is important to handle these concepts with respect, finding out what is actually true so we don't negatively impact our environment. Finally, bringing it all back to center, global economy, political climate, social media, personal beliefs all impact the construction industries and real estate industry. In closing, analyzing social practices, global connectedness, social change, and how they all affect the national identity of our economics in construction. We can see clear benefits with Airbnb, political temperatures, presidencies, and other influences that steer the global and social issue of instability in real estate. Indirectly, this concept translates to construction industries that impacts the target population of the world and smaller isolated areas such as Cape Cod, Massachusetts. The game plan for resolving these issues lies in continually using these social media platforms, the ease of travel through Airbnb, and being generally educated about the political environment and how it directly affects the world in a macroeconomic level. The strategy is simple and is based on the concept of being educated, utilizing these technologies to make positive influences that will benefit the people and economics around the world. Through this implementation and proper use of interdisciplinary thought processes, we can create a stable environment that will allow the construction industry and real estate industries to thrive.